taking notes from nobody.
Your superstars have off games.
Follow us on social media at Celtics Talk Weekly.
I mean, wow. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show. I am your host, Rob. I'm with my co-host, Seamus, a.k.a. Celtics Every Day here. Celtics, just when you think they've lost in every way, they come back and they surprise you. Seamus, what are your what are you thinking right now, my guy?
I know we shouldn't swear on this show, but
Let's just go for it. I mean, I don't.
What the fuck? What the fuck are we watching anymore? We are now 18-21, back under 500 by 3 games.
Out of the playoffs, out of the play-in. We are out of the play-in.
Out of the play-in, because the team below us just came back from. We were up by what? We were up by 20 plus at one point. Was it as much as 25? I believe at one point. I don't remember what our biggest lead was, but regardless, what is going on? There are so many points in the last 2 seasons where you go, this is absolute rock bottom. This is rock bottom. It cannot get any lower than this. We cannot be any worse than this. Yet somehow, some way, we keep descending down further than rock bottom. How does that happen? How are we continuing this? This makes no sense whatsoever. And I believe at this point, I would not be surprised if tomorrow morning we wake up and see a trade from this team. I swear, 100%. It's getting to that.
It's getting that bad. This is bad. This
is inexcusable. I know the team, this is their second game together fully healthy, minus Peyton Pritchard, who's usually not in the rotation anyway when we're fully healthy. But you look at this game, how many games have we had where we look at it in the third quarter and go, we got this wrapped up. We're good. We're cruising here tonight, or we should be able to pull out this game. This is not going to be like 2 nights ago or last week where we blew that other game. Yet every single game nowadays, almost every single game nowadays, we are gaining a lead, blowing it, and losing. We're not winning games anymore. It's not one of those things where some of the games at the beginning of the season, we pulled out. And now we're just straight up losing every single one of these games. And I don't know. This is just insane. It's insane. It's reached an insane level. Like, I don't know who's watching this team anymore. It's us, the diehard Celtics fans, and who else? Absolutely ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is not acceptable for a Boston sports team whatsoever.
Yeah, I got a text.
Ridiculous.
I got a text from my brother that was saying how he's done watching this team. I
don't even know how to contain myself. Quite honestly, I keep trying to gather thoughts. I'm like, okay, here's what is happening with the season in the broader view. But right now, really, Evan Fournier, 41 points. You know how many points he had?
Fournier,
on January 4th, 2 days ago?
Zero.
You know how many points? Zero. Against the Indiana Pacers.
In case you were wondering, this is Fournier's both of his career highs this season. He's broken it twice. Have been against the Boston Celtics. The first time was on opening night, and the second time was against us again. I mean, you're completely right. Just when you think the Celtics haven't found a new way to embarrass themselves, they come out and they embarrass themselves in a new way. The Celtics fall to 7-13 on the road, which is absolutely awful. They're now lost 2 in a row. They're 3-7 in the last 10, 18-21 on the year. They're officially, they are almost the 12 seed. They're tied they are the 12 seed. Actually, I apologize. They are the 12 seed.
Well, what draft position do we have right now? I want to say 10th or 11th?
The Celtics would
not even. We're probably way lower. Wow. Let's see who's below us. We'd
be drafting 9. We'd be drafting 9.
Oh my Lord, 9th? Do you guys hear this? Whoever's watching this show, do you guys hear this? 9th? We're drafting 9th?
Yeah.
We are a pure lottery team. That is right in the lottery. Right in the lottery. Ninth. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean,
oh my goodness.
It's no question, and I think
Oh.
I honestly think tomorrow morning you might wake up to a trade and Dennis Schroeder's out the door. Something's I think's going to happen. Something needs to happen, if you ask me. I think it's time. It's time. Personally, I say you sell where you can. As Ian's joining us right now, I personally, I would. I mean, I hate to laugh, I really do, but it's just funny.
No, it's hysterical at this point. If people aren't laughing at this now, like, we should all be angry, right? But there's some sort of humility in here where it's just, this is comical at this point. It's just comical how terrible this team rides this narrative that is completely true about them, that they can't close out games, that they're now essentially just a losing basketball team. They're a team that is not good whatsoever, cannot pull out games, can gain leads, but not keep them. And this is just a bad basketball team. It just is this season. That's the bottom line right now. We're a pure bad basketball team right now. And I don't see how this gets any better, because these losses are just so demoralizing. Demoralizing.
Yep. I mean,
we were up 20 plus points in MSG.
So
we lost.
So
Evan Fournier and RJ Barrett.
I think that
oh my goodness.
I think that you got to consider maybe a tank for the rest of the season. I think that's something you should actually consider. I personally, I think Horford, I think Schroeder, and I would say Smart should probably be moved. I wouldn't necessarily sell them for nothing, or I wouldn't sell them for picks either. I don't think we should go the rebuild route. Like I said, I said that last post-game show with you, Seamus. I said the rebuild route is the last one we should be doing.
Yeah, well, that's just out of the question in my mind with Tatum and Brown.
But I mean, at the same time, I would 100% think that the Celtics should blow it up. And when I mean blow it up, I mean just everyone not named Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and probably Robert Williams is gone out the door. Yeah, I think everyone's gone. I love Smart. Don't get me wrong. Marcus Smart has been a Celtic 8 years, and you love him. He's the heart and soul of the team. Gone. Schroeder had him not for too long. Get rid of him. Horford, another guy. He was a guy that brought in to supposedly take us over the hump of that edge that we didn't, that leadership we didn't have. Trade him. And his freedom, Cantor, trade him. Willie Grant, I keep. I keep Langford. I keep Neesmith and Pritchard. I keep everyone else, though, out the door. I can start a complete rebuild of this roster, or reconstruction of this roster, I'd say. I consider a potential third star, a Bradley Beal move. I think you call up the Washington Wizards and say, if you want to save the season, that's a move you can make to save this season. It's the only move I see that would save this year. I don't think a small like Evan Fournier type trade like last year would save this season by any means. I hate to be so negative. I'm usually never this negative, but I mean, that's what I think. Ian, I want to hear your take on this because you just got in here.
No, you're right, Rob. You're not the one that's supposed to be negative. I'm supposed to be the one that's supposed to be negative. This team is some fucking bullshit. Excuse my language.
Yeah, dude, go
for everyone at home. Fuck this team. Honestly, I'm so sorry for anyone that's watching. If anyone from the Celtics just decides to watch this episode,
God, get out of here. If you're from Boston, if you're from the Celtics, bro, I'm sorry. Get out of here. I don't want you.
You guys gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go. This fucking team has the audacity to go up 25 and be up 63 to 44 at halftime. This team has the I don't even know what I'm saying. This team has the audacity to have a 25-point lead, blow it, and have it be a 9-point lead, come back and make it a 20-point lead, and then has the audacity to just do fucking nothing in the fourth quarter. And you know what? I'm not even fucking shocked, which is the best part about it, because I honestly guessed it too. Literally, this is the second time this season that I've guessed this fucking stupid game-winning shot. Freaking Luka beginning of the year, now RJ Barrett. I literally said on my live stream, I'm like, you know what? If the Celtics lose to a game-winning shot, that's fine. Just don't let it be a freaking lob. Freaking RJ Barrett throws a fucking prayer on the bench shot. Stupid ass fucking team. I hate this team, dude. I hate this team. Fuck Evan Fournier. He hit as many shots in this game that he ever did with the fucking Celtics. This team is some bullshit. I hate this team.
And there were so many shots tonight where they just went in and you went, oh, like really? Really? Like Evan Fournier had about 4 shots in the fourth quarter where he basically looked like he was just throwing it up near the rim, complete prayer.
Bro, what happened?
Just, whoop, right through the hoop. And then to end the game, RJ Barrett. Seriously, that was a shot where you would just expect either air ball or just clank, we're going to overtime, see you later. And no. Calls bank, and just game over. And there were just so many shots down the stretch. It just felt like New York was throwing up miracles, and they just went in.
Well,
hang on.
I can't believe. Yeah, go ahead.
Hang on. Someone in the comments is asking why we're mad. We're not mad at the Knicks.
Why are we mad?
Why the fuck would we be mad at the Knicks? All of our anger is directed towards the Celtics, so it doesn't matter what team does anything. We'll probably hate the Celtics more than we actually hate the other team that we lost to.
Yeah, no, it's to the point where the Celtics are somehow our most favorite team, yet our least favorite team at the same time. That's just where we're at right now. I think we're all Celtics fans, but we just hate this team.
I mean, Boston.
How can you like this team at this point? How can you stay on a daily basis? Like, kudos to all the writers and everyone out there covering this team, and we cover this team as well. But how can we continue to do this every single day? I still see people out there breaking down film like, well, if the Celtics just do this. Well, who expects the Celtics to do anything at this point? That was my realization at the beginning of December after that West Coast road trip. It was, why is anyone expecting this to get any better at any point? And you could say on a daily basis, well, here's what they need to do to win this game, and here's what they need to do. No, we have no idea what we're getting from this team on a nightly basis, and most of the time, they can't do anything. They can't do anything right. I mean, they can excel in parts of the game, during parts of the game, yet when it matters most, when you're closing out the game, when it comes to crunch time, when it comes to consistently laying it down on the line for 48 minutes, this team cannot hold it together at all for 48 minutes. That's just as simple as that. I don't know why anybody's expecting, hey, we can go on a 3-game winning streak, 4-game, 5-game, whatever, and get this back on track. No, we can't even keep it together for 48 minutes.
It's crazy.
A couple of games.
We watched the Celtics come back from the Orlando Magic game. We're basically just like a glorified Orlando Magic. It feels like the exact way the Orlando Magic blew that game to us was the exact way we blew that game to the Knicks.
Well, look at all the bad teams right now. Okay, so we play the Magic, and the first time we blew them out. Great. This past week, that Sunday game against them, we were down 14 with 4 minutes left in the game. That should never happen. They have the first overall pick right now, the best odds for the first overall pick right now. That's the worst team in the league. The Pistons we haven't played yet. The Rockets, they played us close the first time. And the second time, yes, we blew them out. And then no Pelicans. The Thunder. Huge lead against them. They come back on us. And it was what, a 6-point game at the end?
6-point win, yeah.
The Pacers, we'll see what we look like against them tomorrow, or not tomorrow, later this week. What do you guys expect against the Pacers? I mean,
well, so I have a couple of things to say here because I'm just as
the Spurs we've lost to twice. The Hawks we got beat by like nobody else. Like we are Timberwolves. Sorry to interrupt you here, but just all these bad teams. We've lost to the Wizards, who have now proven themselves as a 500 team. The Knicks we've lost to twice. The Timberwolves we lost to when they were playing a bunch of G Leaguers and 10-day contract guys. The Nuggets we haven't faced yet. And so, that's basically every team. We haven't faced the Kings either. We blew out the Blazers. Great, we blew out the Blazers without Damian Lillard. Look at all these other teams that we faced in the bottom. We have not proven that we're better than anyone at all. This is crazy. It's crazy. I don't want to get.
Yeah. Also, I want to apologize for my language earlier
here, but
in the show.
Oh my lord,
that doesn't actually represent me as a person. I can actually have like actual legitimate thoughts about a team without cursing, but the Celtics just make me angry to a point where it feels like that's the only way I can talk about them.
So I got a couple points I want to make here, and the first one is there's a couple things wrong with the Celtics team right now. One, I think it's stuck in a constant loop of they can't get out of this core has been in their heads, it feels like now, for some time. And I think to fix that, you kind of have to separate it and blow it up, the core. And like I said, I made that point earlier on in the show. Like Smart and those guys, you kind of have to, it's time to move on. It didn't work out. It's okay. Let's rebuild, or reload rather. My next point is about Brown and Tatum. Now, obviously, I am not going to say trade Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown by any means. Like I said, Seamus, last post-game show, we said that is the last thing that would help the Boston Celtics right now. But what I am going to say is the Brown and Tatum are part of the problem. Mind you, they're not as big of the problem. And the reason I say that is because these two guys are superstar good. They both have potential of all NBA. Tatum could be a top 3 player. Brown could be top 15. Not all time in the league when they're in their primes is what I'm saying, right? And that's how good they are. Offensively, they're super talented. Defensively, Brown is amazing. Tatum showing glimpses he could play make tonight. He had 9 assists, right? So they're super, super talented, right? We know that. But I think there is a presence that they feel that they have already figured it out. That they already know what they're doing. They're 25 and 23, turning 24, Tatum is. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to win yet. Brown made the Eastern Conference Finals his rookie year as a role player, kind of getting 10, 15 minutes a game, averaging right around 6 a game. Right? Second year for Brown, first year for Tatum. They go to the Eastern Conference Finals, kind of playing the major role aspect. It was kind of a weak East. We took a depleted Cavs team and LeBron James to 7 games. Super impressive. Mind you, it was impressive, but at the same time, it didn't mean anything. It kind of showed how good the future could be. Kyrie comes, that whole season happens. So what? Next year, let's fast forward to 2020. Tatum, Celtics, no expectations. They lose Horford. They lose Rozier, Morris, Horford, Kyrie. I said Horford twice, my fault. They lose them all for nothing. They all walk. They come in, they exceed expectations. The bubble happens. So what? We come 2 games from the finals. Then it's their team, right? The last season. That was the first season where it was their team. Brown and Tatum, to me, I could be wrong, are showing that they don't need to change anything. That they can be Jason Tatum and be Jaylen Brown, and that's completely okay. That they've already made it to 3 and 2 Eastern Conference Finals appearances, and that they've been a game away from the finals, and they've gone toe-to-toe with LeBron on one of the biggest stage in sports. And they're right, they have. Extremely young. But guess what, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, right? It's not the same team in league it was 4 years ago. Right? You guys are the guys now. You have to adjust your play style. Just like Hayward and Kyrie and Horford were adjusting their styles back then to try to accommodate you. You have to do that for the guys around you. And like I said, this is not me saying trade Jaylen Brown or trade Jason Tatum. This is me saying there are the 2 best players on this basketball team. When a basketball team is bad, you point the finger at the best player. That is who gets the blame. And I get it, Tatum's young. He receives a lot of criticism. He's going to be a hell of a player when it's all said and done. No knock on his personality or who he is as a person. But damn it, when you look at a bad basketball team, you look at their best players and you point the finger and blame them. And right now, that is who I'm blaming. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I think your inability to adjust and adapt is what's costing the Celtics games on top of bad coaching and everything else that goes along with it.
I don't understand. Go ahead, Ian.
I was just going to say, I mean, It also doesn't help that we're also like the worst 3-point shooting team in the league, where even when we have a chance like tonight, when Jason Tatum is having a superstar game, we don't have anyone around him that can hit any shots. I mean, Jaylen Brown, I think they said it on the broadcast. What was he, like 4 of like 49 from 3 in the fourth quarter this season? Like, that's just kind of unacceptable. And honestly, I mean, I know we throw a lot of criticism at Tatum on this show, and I personally do, but I want to kind of throw criticism on Brown tonight. He disappeared after the first quarter. Like, he was just gone. Honestly, there were times where I didn't even know he was on the court. Like, he did nothing after the first quarter of this game, and it was just kind of unacceptable, and that's kind of the whole reason why we lost this freaking game. I mean, he wasn't the main reason why we lost this game. We lost this game as a team, really. But, I mean, it's just kind of unacceptable to the fact that, I don't know, maybe these people, these guys just have huge expectations of themselves. They think they're better than they are, it feels like. And
that falls on to Brown and Tatum. I really think it does. I think
100% the issue.
I think that the fact that Brown and Tatum, and don't, like I said, I do not want to trade them, and I want those guys are the future.
No.
Those guys are the future, but they're still so young, and I think there's a period of time of a young NBA player's career. If you look at John Morant was drafted, three years ago. This is his third year. He had 2 seasons with the Grizzlies that were poor. Came in, they were losing games, right? The Grizzlies kind of casually got better and better. They kind of added pieces, and this year they're figuring it out. Morant's been bad before. Like, normally every NBA player has been on a bad basketball team. Michael Jordan, look at Jordan. Jordan, got slapped around for the first 6 years of his career. LeBron had success early, but Kobe Bryant, first 4 years could not figure it out. So Brown and Tatum had everything going for them as soon as they were drafted. They were drafted to a championship caliber team. So I think they're feeling that early career usually happens years 1 through 4 and kind of goes up from 4, 5, 6, 7, and you hit your peak and you're competing for a title after 6 or 7 years. They're kind of feeling that delayed. So now instead of 1, 2, 3 seasons are your rough years, you're looking at Tatum and Brown. Now it's 4, 5, 6. They're going to kind of have to struggle maybe. And I do think that if you ask me, mind you, I don't know everything. I'm just your average basketball fan who loves the Boston Celtics. But you ask me, anytime a LeBron James-led team's doing bad, who do you blame? You blame LeBron. Nets aren't doing bad. You blame Durant. Celtics are pretty bad. I'm blaming Tatum and Brown because they got to do better, and they're the best guys. They got to take responsibility.
I don't even know how to slice the blame pie anymore because I think blame is to be laid upon everyone in this situation. And Ian kind of touched on it a little bit with our 3-point percentage. Right now, we're 24th in the league, which we might be lower after tonight, but we're 24th in the league in 3-point percentage. And my, I don't understand. My misunderstanding about this Celtics team is, yes, the league is centered around shooting or centered on shooting, and you need shooters in your lineup to match other teams' offense because offense in today's NBA is taking off at another level. Last year, took off at another level. Took a little bit of a dip this year, but still very, very, very important to have a good offense in today's NBA. And right now, the Celtics just don't have any shooters on the roster, yet they're still playing that game where they're taking a lot of 3-pointers. Yeah. And to me, I think the Celtics, with the personnel they have right now, they have to find a way to switch that up a little bit. Because sometimes during games, you look at it and go, okay, they're getting pretty good shots here. They're moving the ball well. They're running good offense. I thought there were a couple of possessions down the stretch that there was a lot of ball movement and that you actually felt comfortable taking the shot down the stretch, but they just didn't go in. And the reason they didn't go in, because we don't have shooters. So I think right now it's how can you adjust? How can you adjust? And that's a coaching thing to me. And how can you adjust, especially late in games when shots aren't falling for this team? I mean, we shot atrociously during the second half tonight. And you're talking about Jaylen Brown, too. 5 of 32 in the fourth quarter this year from 3 from him. It might be even, a worse percentage tonight, but 15.6% in the fourth quarter for Jaylen Brown. I kind of agree with the Brown point. I'm not really sure what's happening with him and Tatum. Now, I know that we have questions about them. Can they fit together? However, it just doesn't make sense why they disappear at different points in the game. They both do this. And Tatum, you saw it a little bit more last night with Tatum rather than tonight. Tatum played a great game tonight, but of course, it doesn't matter because L. But Jaylen Brown, after the first quarter, I totally agree. Where was he? Where was he? I mean, I don't know whether that's a, my turn, your turn type of thing, which I believe that is probably the case. But that's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. They used to say, when they were rookies or when they were young, Jaylen Brown was a sophomore, Jason Tatum was a rookie. They said, oh, well, they can't, stop us both. If one of us, is shut down, the other one's going off. But that's not how this can work nowadays. It can't be your turn, my turn. It has to be we're hitting every single time. We're hitting at the same time every single game. We're gaining this consistency, and we just don't see it at all. So it's disappointing right now. It's disappointing.
Totally. And something that I also want to talk about is end of last game, the Celtics and specifically Jaylen Brown pointed something very specific out. He said that he wanted to run the offense through the bigs more. He thought that when Horford and Rob Will were at the center of running the offense, things came a little bit easier. The floor was spaced out. Tonight, Robert Williams had 6 points on 1 assist, 7 blocks, mind you. Good game from Rob Will protecting the paint. Took 3 shots. Horford saw 7 points with 1 assist, 4 rebounds, 3 for 8 shooting. Took 6 threes, 1 for 6 from beyond the arc. So when the Celtics want to do something, they want to get their bigs involved. Why is it that they cannot go out and execute the game plan? If it is, and we've seen it, Robert Williams can distribute the basketball really, really well. He had, first career triple-double the other night. He's had multiple games recently, over 6 assists, I want to say. Robert Williams has been huge for the Celtics in the playmaking category from time to time. But, why is it that the Celtics, Brown comes out, talks to the media, says, listen, I want to get the bigs more involved. And, fast forward to next game, a second end of a back-to-back against the Knicks. You already lost a rough one the other night, last night to the Spurs. And guess what? You come out, you don't execute the game plan. The Celtics are now out of the playoffs. They're 18-21. You got to imagine our 2-star players in Brown and Tatum are frustrated. Hopefully at themselves, they can take some accountability is I'm praying what they're going to do. But if you're the Celtics right now, if you're Brad Stevens, you got to really sit down and consider what to do from here. The worst thing to do, in my opinion, is to sit and do nothing. Letting this team play it out for the season is just the wrong direction to go. Otherwise, they will sit in this 11, 10, 9, 8 spot. They're going to just bounce around, win 2 games, lose 2 games, win 1 game, lose 2 games, win 3 games, lose 1. It's just how it works with the Boston Celtics this season. And what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Well, guess what? Last night, the Boston Celtics said they wanted to get their bigs involved. They didn't. They did the same thing, and they got the exact same result that they have been getting all season long, and it does not look like it is going to end anytime soon.
I have a stat for that to support your message there on getting the bigs involved and how they didn't do that tonight. If you look at usage percentage tonight on this game from every player who played, the 3 lowest players in terms of usage percentage tonight. Lowest, Robert Williams, 4.2%. Second lowest, Grant Williams, 9.5%.
Yeah.
Third lowest, 17.5%, Al Horford. So the 3 bigs, they're not ball handlers. You expect their usage percentage to not be, a Jason Tatum usage percentage or, a Dennis Schroeder. However, these guys, they didn't handle the ball at all tonight. And you didn't see the offense ran through them tonight. You saw the offense, same single thing you see every single game is isolation, especially down the stretch. And like I said, there are a couple of good moments, but for the most part, too much inefficiency to win a game. And I just don't understand 25-point lead, 25-point lead in this game, yet you lose by 3. And it doesn't even go to overtime.
And you know what? I think the funniest part about the whole thing is I sat there looking at the scoreboard. The Celtics were up 25, and I thought to myself, well, you know what? This is nowhere close to being over. And that's the mentality I think that this team has had is, you heard Richardson in the halftime interview the other night say, I don't want to talk about anything. We just got to, talk to me when the game's done because we have a history of blowing leads. Well, guess what, Richardson? 3 games. Fast forward 3 freaking games. The Boston Celtics blow another 25-point lead. The Celtics are 2-11 in games decided by 5 or less this season. They are atrocious down the stretch. They are atrocious.
And guess what? Right now, we're out of the play-in. But if we were to play in the play-in, do you guys see us getting up to the 7 or 8 spot right now? I don't see that in sight at all.
If you were to tell me, if you were to say the Boston Celtics need to win 2 games in a row to make the playoffs.
Exactly.
I don't think they could do it because of their inability to follow the game plan. I mean, I think that was a great – the usage rate I think is just a nail in the coffin if you ask me. I mean, they come out to the media and they say we want to use the bigs. The bigs are successful, and they come out and they don't use the bigs. I mean, like Jaylen Brown – and my biggest thing this offseason – and I'm going to rant for a little bit. My biggest thing this offseason is if you're on the basketball court – for the Boston Celtics, there was a lot of useless players on the court. If they weren't scoring, they weren't doing anything, right? But kind of like Pritchard. I love Pritchard, but my biggest downs on him is that if he's not scoring, he's completely useless. Well, let's look at Jaylen Brown tonight. He's been great over the last 8 games. Was averaging 31 through 8. He was awesome. But tonight, 16 points. Sure, he gave us 7 rebounds, 6 for 14 shooting, 2 for 8, atrocious from the 3. I mean, -2, ±. So what the hell was Jaylen Brown doing tonight? I mean, Fournier had 41. That's technically in the starting lineup. That's Jaylen Brown's matchup. Brown, usually a good defender, but what are you doing if you're not scoring 30 points, Jaylen Brown? If you're going to get us 1 assist, 7 rebounds, is that your contribution? And like I said, I don't want to be too harsh on Brown and Tatum because in reality, these 2 guys are dealing with a lot right now. They're young. They're a struggling ball club that they don't really quite know it. And they think they know it, but they don't. And Tatum played great. But, I mean, like I said, it goes back to my point. Jaylen Brown's a perfect example. At the end of the day, down the stretch, I agree with you, Seamus. Isolation ball is the worst type of ball to play. But, I mean, down the stretch, it's just been every game that these 2 have been horrible. I shouldn't say horrible, but they've been inconsistent is what I should say. And not just the whole team.
I think horrible. Well, wait, Ian, you can go, but I think horrible is the right word for that actually. They've been
horrible.
They really
is the
have
correct word.
I don't care that Tatum hit that shot either at the end. I mean, that was clutch for sure, but you should never
it just never ends.
Situation.
It just never ends.
I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead, Ian.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't know what to say about this team, and I don't think I've ever seen a team be so bad in the fourth quarter before. Like, have you ever seen a team that's just been, like, so terrible in the fourth quarter?
They're so good through 3.
like, through the first 3 quarters, they
like,
look like they're a good team, and then once the fourth quarter hits, they absolutely just, like, completely just blow everything. And, I mean, I went to that Spurs game yesterday. Thank you for the tickets again, Rob.
Got you.
It was a fun time, but it was literally watching. It literally felt like I was watching tonight's game just there. But at the same time, the worst part about last game was that Tatum didn't do anything, and now this game, Brown didn't do much after the first quarter. But it's just one of those things where it's like, how many times are they going to do it over and over and over before they, like, finally figure something out? Like, can they try something different? Like, I mean, I've never been a I've never been a player. I'm not a coach. I'm not claiming that I know anything about what goes on with game planning, but, like, is there something they can do to change it? Like, possibly anything? There has to be something to where they cannot consistently lose every single fourth quarter in every single game. I don't get it.
It's a breakdown. They have a breakdown, and you want to go back to last game against the Spurs too. Last night, they couldn't even get a lead. The Spurs were kind of go up by 5, but Boston puts it down to 2. They go back up 7, Boston puts it down to 2. They go up by 8, then Boston puts it down. I mean, they could never even catch up with the San Antonio Spurs, who were 3-22 entering that ball game. Like, the Spurs are a bad basketball team. I love Greg Popovich, one of the greatest coaches of all time, but damn it, I'm sick and tired of the Celtics just they don't have an identity. It was supposed to be defense. They have shown glimpses of them being very good, a fantastic defensive team, but it is just consistent inconsistency is what it is from the Boston Celtics. It is just so bad, and they play the Knicks Saturday night back at the Garden.
Oh Lord!
And honestly, if you would ask me
this again,
and honestly, if you would ask me, I'm gonna watch. The Celtics will come in and they'll win that game by double digits. Watch, it's what they'll do.
Fournier is still dropping 30 though.
They'll look good. No, it's what the Boston Celtics are. Personally, I think we could potentially wake up to some Celtics news, whether it's a trade, a release, a signing, a firing, whatever it may be. I'm not going to say Udoka's out the door by any means. That's all I'm saying. But you never know. Just something has to change, and it has to be big, I think. And I don't know if it's I don't know what it's going to be, and I don't know. I don't know where to go. It's a lot, but we are going to close out the show here, guys. Before we head out, the final words, final thoughts, guys, on Celtics versus Knicks.
Well, Ian, you mentioned, is there anything that they can do to fix this? Cutting off ball, taking less threes overall, because I think we've seen enough by now to say, hey, the Celtics are not a good three-point shooting team at all. We should take less of those, drive to the rim more, less iso ball in general, more ball movement. We have fairly good ball movement at times during games, and a lot more than last year. However, just not consistent enough, especially down the stretch. So more ball movement, more off-ball cutting, just more screening off ball too, and just getting guys moving. This is such a stagnant offense at times, and it just needs to change. And I don't think we have the personnel to be a good team at the moment. I really don't think these pieces fit together. Smart and Schroeder next to Brown and Tatum,
Smart and Schroeder should never be on the court at the same time.
Well, these guys they need the ball in their hands to do something on the offensive end of the floor, because Schroeder, he's not a catch and shoot player. Marcus Smart, he's an okay three-point shooter, but he's not efficient as a catch and shoot player. He's not efficient as a drive and kick player. And so these guys all need the ball in their hands. Tatum and Brown too at times, and it just doesn't work. And then you pair that with the fact that you have Al Horford and Robert Williams out there, two completely different bigs that I'm not sure can fit together on the same court. And they've shown glimpses of being elite shot blockers and honestly one of the best defensive front courts in the league, but it's not coming consistently enough from this team. And maybe it does get a little better. I'm really grinding my teeth saying that, because I've been saying this for the past month, like, hey, when we get healthy, it might get a little bit better. But hey, we've been healthy for the past 2 games. Same problems seem to be happening. And this is not one of those things where it's, oh, this team just needs to get their legs under them, that they'll be fine when they get 100%. No, these are consistent problems that have plagued the team for the past, I said before the bubble even started, and that was a whole different Celtics team. So you just look at it now and you go, what can we do other than change the pieces? And I think that's really the conclusion we're coming to. And
you know what?
I've told this many times. This is a team of assets, I believe, but they were supposed to be a little bit competitive this year, at least. And right now, the 12 seed. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? It's ridiculous.
So I'm going to drop a bomb on you guys. I think the Boston Celtics, there is a good chance that I think the Boston Celtics fire Ime Udoka. And you might look at me like I'm crazy, but I really think that Ime Udoka has shown an inability to successfully
do anything,
have a scheme that can win you basketball games. Mind you, I get it. He's a first-year coach. I think the personality is great. I think he's a phenomenal assistant coach. But if we're talking about having an offensive scheme to successfully win basketball games, mind you, this is my last point. I apologize, but to successfully win basketball games, he doesn't have that. There's a reason these guys are going to isolation play to end the game off, and I think it's because Udoka does not have a successful scheme that they can go to and trust and get a bucket when they need to. I think the finger is pointed at Udoka right now as well, like Tatum and Brown, and I think there's a good shot you could potentially see a Boston Celtics firing of Ime Udoka. I mean, the expectation in Boston's to win. I don't know if it will come mid-season or end season, but I mean, Udoka has been horrible. That's a conversation for another day. But Boston Celtics do take on the New York Knicks. Ian, before we close off, give us something.
I got one more thing. All right, so here, let's play a little guessing game. Let me ask you guys, who do you think had the best game for the Celtics according to Plus Minus tonight? He only played 12 minutes.
I'm going to have to go with Enes Freedom just because I think I saw the box score.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, yeah, so Enes Freedom, he had 0 points. 0 points, 3 rebounds. He didn't take a shot. And, so I feel like if we want to win games, we should just do what he does and just not shoot, apparently, because I really don't know what to do about this team. It's like, I mean, you're literally banging your head against the same wall over and 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 over. So I don't know. There's really nothing else to say about this team. What else do we exactly say? Like that we haven't said 10 million times already.
Well, I have 2 things. Number 1, Jason Tatum was a plus 22 at halftime, finished with a plus
I was going to say that too. I forgot. Yeah.
Minus 14 in the second half for Jason Tatum with a plus 8 at the end of the game after having a plus 22 at one point. That's insane to think about. But also, to your Udoka point, I think it's totally fair to say that we've seen no real offensive scheme out of him thus far. However, I don't think that a firing is anytime soon because we've seen the Celtics, they like to keep guys around. They just do. They like to keep guys around. And I think that
keeping this guy around could result in some mediocre play.
Well, you also look after, I would say after a certain point in time, if this team is consistently bad under Udoka, then he'll be fired. It won't be like a Doc Rivers or Brad Stevens situation. Brad Stevens, I mean, he looked like a genius right out of the gates, even though he only won 25 games his first season. But that team was probably worse than 25 games. But you look at it now, and Udoka, he's still a first-year head coach. He's only, 39 games into his head coaching career. Head coaches, they're not going to be perfect from day one. And I think this guy can still develop and change. That being said, right now, the results aren't good. And they're, if they continue to be this way over the next year or year and a half, maybe he does get fired. But right now, I think there's still time. There's still some patience that needs to be there for Udoka because up to this point, he's only 39 games into his career. And you also have to think, look at the month of December. We did not have a healthy roster for that month at all. And even going back to November when Jaylen Brown missed a ton of time. So he hasn't had all the personnel pieces. He hasn't really had time to really grow this team in the way. But I still don't think that we would be, exceeding expectations even if he did have that time because we've seen many, many times before, like you said, no offensive scheme whatsoever. The offense looks too inefficient to me from my eyes against some of the league's best. I know right now over here I got Phoenix on. I mean, you look at Phoenix, you look at us, it's like we're not even playing in the same basketball league. It's really not. So Udoka, the results not good so far, but I think there has to be some level of patience there. Just a little bit.
For viewers, don't be surprised if one day the show just becomes like Suns Talk Weekly or like Warriors Talk Weekly after watching the Celtics all season. Just don't be shocked when one time you see a live stream and it just says Warriors Talk Weekly or Suns Talk Weekly or something.
Yeah, it's been rough, but the Boston Celtics will get a shot to get their revenge with the New York Knicks next 2 nights from now, Saturday at the Garden. We will have you covered for post-game show. And also a play-by-play. Ian does those during the game. They're actually a lot of fun. Go in, you see him, he commentates, you see the scoreboard. Obviously, legal rights, we can't show the actual game itself. If you want to see the actual game itself, Ian could help you out with that on TikTok. goes down to all the links will be in the description down below if you want to go check out his TikTok. You probably already follow him. But I know it's been rough hanging there, Celtics fans. There is light at the end of the tunnel, I promise. And